All right, so this is our genetics and DNA review session. I'm going to go through these questions one at a time. Number one, Darwin believed that learned traits can be passed on to your offspring. How do you think this played into his theory of evolution? Well, it would definitely supercharge that theory of evolution, because if you can pass things that you learn onto your kids, like if you learn to be good at math and you learn to be good at basketball, if you could pass those on to your kids through genetics, they'd automatically start out so much better and faster and quicker than you. Of course, we know physical and mental things that you learn over the course of your life are not hereditary. They don't go to your kids. So that's something that would be a hindrance to his theory, because you need very big changes happening in very short periods of time. The classic example of this would be, it was believed that the reason that giraffes got their long necks was because one horse-like creature had to reach up to nibble on some leaves, and so as it stretched its neck, it got a little bit longer, and so then its horse children automatically started out with a bit longer necks, and they stretched their necks, and their kids stretched their necks, and eventually you have giraffes. It's actually known as Lamarckism, but this is not a fact, and it doesn't work. So there's a big stumbling block to the theory of evolution. But he thought it worked, and it would have supercharged his idea. Who was Cain's wife, and why does it make sense that God would later say that marrying your relative isn't okay? Cain's wife was his sister, as gross as that sounds to us right now. Back then, before there were tons of mutations in the genome of individuals, you didn't have to worry about one gene from your mother and one gene from your father linking up and causing a birth defect if they were defective. But as time went on, that became a concern, and that's probably why God did what he did when he told the Israelites as they were wandering in the wilderness waiting for God to lead them into the promised land, when he told them that you can't marry your relatives anymore because of the genomes of people. These bad mutations would line up more in relatives. The people you're related to would have genetic defects in the same places you do. So if you have kids with people you're related to, much higher chance of them linking up and giving you a baby with birth defects. So God was looking out for the children of Israel, even though they didn't know why. He changed his mind on that. So number three, Dr. John Sanford has shown evidence that we pass on a certain number of mutations to our children. Why is this simple fact fatal to the idea of molecules to man evolution? So this is quite simply, when we look at the human genome, with every subsequent generation, you pass on about 100 new copy errors, 100 new genetic mutations to your kids. So they're automatically worse off than you were when you were born, just like you're worse off than your parents were when they were born. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing things actually getting worse and worse and worse and worse in the human genome. But evolution would need them to get better and better and better and better. So again, when we look at reality, we see that it matches up very clearly with what the Bible teaches us. It goes completely against any naturalistic version of history. Number four, talk to me about Neanderthals. They were human. They were not the missing link between humans and apes. They were not these brutish creatures that grunted all the time and just acted on instinct. They were human. They had cosmetics, they wore makeup, they had funeral services, they had the controlled use of fire, and any other thing that you commonly think of as being a human characteristic or trait, they possessed that. A lot of people still don't realize it, though, because it's still in the popular imagination that these were just brutish cavemen. They were humans, just like you and I. And number five, it's often said that human and chimp DNA are 99% similar. This isn't true. So first, where did this number come from? This 99% number comes from analyzing the genetic information in apes and humans when you look at characteristics that we share. So if you look at the genetic information that code for fingers or noses or ears or eyes, these are all things we share with chimps, yes, they're 99% similar. But we have to realize that there's a lot of genetic information we have as humans that monkeys do not have. We can think abstract thoughts. We can talk very fluidly and we can learn vocal language. We can appreciate things like beauty. This is all stuff that monkeys can't do. When you consider the entire human genome and you look at the entire monkey genome, they are 80 to 85% similar. So that's a far cry from 99% similar. Same thing with the banana thing, right? You're not half banana. That number comes from comparing things that we and bananas share. You both have cells. If you look at the part of a genetic code of a banana that codes for cells as they replicate, well, guess what? We have cells that replicate too. So yeah, they're going to be 50% similar. But you are very, very different from a banana. Our genetic code is extremely more complicated and longer than that of a banana, and it's a lot more complicated than that of a monkey, so we're not the same thing. This supports the biblical version of history because we would not expect us to be super similar to chimps. 80 to 85% is a very reasonable number. And when you look at the mutation rate that we see occurring in the world today, there is no way that in the 6 million years that we've supposedly been evolving from apes that we can have started out so different. There's too much new information that would have to come in over that period of time, and it just doesn't work.